Hello, lovely humans, and welcome back. For those of you guys who are new here, welcome. I'm super glad you're here. If you're wondering what the heck this channel is about, let me tell you. My name's Heather. I am a baker turned physical therapist. That's right, no longer a physical therapy student, finally. And I am, of course, a cat enthusiast. She made her own intro. This is Beto. And I am a woman who is on an adventure, a rather strenuous adventure, to try to get healthy and lose 100 pounds. And along the way of this crazy journey, I try to share anything and everything that I learn with you guys. So if that sounds like something that's up your alley, by all means, please subscribe. Secondly, I don't always sound like this. I had a lovely cold last week, so I still sound a little bit, manly. Fun times. And I am still recovering in regards to my vocal cords, so bear with me. Recently, I turned 34. I know, some of you are like, my God, she's ancient. The rest of you are like, that's not even old. I'm in the latter half, although early 20s me would have probably thought otherwise. So I went all out and celebrated my 34th birthday. We went on vacation. It was wonderful. And I really just got to thinking along the way about how much I've just kind of grown up in the last 34 years. Because honestly, if you don't look back at your past self and be like, wow, some of those decisions were really freaking stupid, means you probably haven't grown as a person, or you're just really blessed and made the best decisions for all of your life, which is probably none of us because we're human beings who make mistakes. And in my infinite wisdom of my 34 years, I wanted to share with you guys some of the things that I've learned along the way. So one of the first things I want to tell you guys is that you do not have to look cute every waking second of the day. I know in our 20s, we're like,
oh my gosh, we're going out, we're gonna go see our friends, we've gotta look freaking fantastic.
But the truth is, if your friends love you, they're gonna love you for you, whether that's you in sweatpants or you in something cute.
I love you, but you have a lot of work.
There's absolutely a time and a place for being cute, but it's not something that you have to agonize over. Heels in particular are really bad for your feet, and I can promise you that if you spend all of your 20s wearing them, you're gonna start getting foot issues down the road. It is not good for them. And neither are flip-flops, although I still wear them all the time.
Hypocrite!
One of the biggest things that I've learned that you really do not want to wait for is that you should start treating your body well right now and don't wait till later. It's not to say that if you hit your 40s, it's too late to get healthy or fit, but there definitely is a level of damage that you cause to your body, and there's a limit to how much of that you can regain. Can you absolutely lose weight and get stronger? Heck yes. But is it a whole lot easier to build more muscle mass when you're in your 20s? And to maybe keep the weight off before your metabolism like crashes and burns at 26 like mine did? Yes.
So unfair.
So start trying to put those healthy habits in place now instead of waiting, because trust me, you're gonna regret it. Regret? My wedge. Okay, but trust me, you're gonna regret it. Much like I'm regretting wearing this nose ring, so it's gonna go away because it's tickling the crap out of my nose. Ah! That's sexy. One of the most important things I can tell y'all, especially in regards to relationships, and this applies to like friends, family, and especially partners of the dating variety, ask the hard questions now. If you wait, it's gonna bite you in the butt, especially with your dating life. For example, even if you don't want kids right now, but you know that eventually you wanna have some, that's something that you need to bring up with your partner early on. Because it's really gonna suck if you know that you wanna be a mom or a dad and your partner's like, oh my God, absolutely not. Those things do break up marriages and long-term relationships, and it is really important to ask. You need to talk about all the hard-hitting things like, you know, do I want kids? What are my religious values? What are my general values for life? What are your beliefs in handling finances? Because if you have a person who is a planner and a person who is a spender, guess what the number one thing is that people fight about? Money. Talk about it early on, make sure you're on the same page, even if it's just a lighter relationship, because if you want it to eventually turn into something, it's still a conversation that you need to have. And trust me, it will save you a lot of heartache. Also, if they say that they're not looking for anything serious right now, you're not gonna change that. Just accept it and actually take them at their word. The next one is one that was incredibly hard for me to learn, and honestly something that I am still struggling with. But I want you guys to know that it is okay to say no. If you don't want to go out on the weekend, you don't need to feel guilt-tripped into doing so. If there is some sort of event happening that makes you really uncomfortable to participate in, it's okay to say no. Respect yourself and love yourself enough to know like, hey, this makes me uncomfortable, or maybe I'm just too tired for this. Or maybe this is just not something that I want to have in my life.
No, thank you.
It just means respecting yourself and sticking up for what you believe in. All of this actually leads me into my next point, which is that boundaries are so important. Boundaries for everything. Work boundaries, private life boundaries, dating life boundaries. You need to know what's a deal breaker for you, and you need to put it in the beginning. For example, let's say you're having an argument with a partner. You can't tell them, it's not okay for you to yell at me, and expect them to magically do that.
Sir, please don't yell at me. Because when people yell at me, I have a tendency to start crying.
I would hope that they're not yelling at you, but here's where the boundaries come in. If you're like, okay, my boundary is that I will not participate in a discussion when voices are raised. You can let them know that because that is your boundary. Rather than giving your expectation of what they need to do, you're setting the expectation for what is appropriate for you and relationships in your life. That's actually a boundary that someone set very early on with me in my early 20s. I'll say this was an absolutely terrible ex, but I got one thing from him, and it was essentially that he was not going to raise his voice when we argued, because I was really hot-headed in my 20s and I was like going off, and he's sitting there calm as can be, and if I started yelling, I felt like a buffoon, because if you're just going hog wild at someone and they're still calm, you basically look like a freaking jerk. And because of that, I learned to calm down. Now, in other instances, you may have a partner who really is just going nuts and still yelling at you and didn't learn from that, and maybe that's just how their family communicated. That doesn't mean it's okay for you. But at that point, you can say, hey, you're upset right now, you're yelling. I'm not gonna continue this conversation while you're yelling, so I'm gonna leave the room. Or I'm gonna leave I'm gonna leave the state. Where are you going? Basically, take yourself out of any situations that are not appropriate for your boundaries, because why add extra stress and grief into your life when it's completely unnecessary? Boundaries are there to protect your relationships with other people so that they stay healthy, but they're also there to protect your physical, mental, and emotional health, and that's really important. Continuing on the trend of dating for a second, if any of you struggle with, say, god-awful taste in men or women or whoever,
when your taste in men is as bad as mine,
run.
It is a really good idea to have a person that you're interested in meet your friends first. Let them kind of be a secondary judge and be like, yo, did y'all notice any red flags in this time of us hanging out? Because a lot of the things that I was like goo goo gaga for, whatever. Why is that a baby term? Goo goo gaga? All the things that I was like gaga for in my 20s, like, you know, sexy tall man with green eyes and kind of shaggy hair.
I had these urges.
That was like my early 20s life. I was like completely missing all the things like, this man does not care at all about emotional health. Or, you know, maybe someone is like a jerk to a server, because that's a big old red flag. Or like, hey, they seem a wee bit, you know, gaslighty. I'm like, what's up with that? Your friends are gonna notice the things that you don't when you're all starry-eyed. So have them meet them early on. Chances are it'll probably save you a lot of heartache, and at the very least you get a good second opinion. Next up is that experiences are way more important than stuff. I feel like I spent a lot of my early 20s just collecting super cute things that I would find at stores, like on sale, thrift store, wherever, regardless of price. Like, I was a bargain hunter. But I still ended up with a lot of crap that was basically all over every surface in my house. And when I thought about it a few years later, I was like, yeah, there's some of those things that I really enjoy. But truthfully, if I didn't spend so much time just buying things, I could have actually afforded, even on my like meager early 20s budget, to go and have some experiences to create memories and things that I would cherish for a lifetime. Because your girl worked at Hollywood Video for a lot of years. I have literally thousands of DVDs. You don't want to know how much I spent on those thousands of DVDs. Like, even when the store is closing and they're 5 cents, they add up. I would have much rather, in retrospect, taken the time to go on some adventures, like with my friends and with my family, and I probably wouldn't have felt as stressed financially. It's okay to have some things that you like, but just make sure that you're not giving up on experiences as well. And also know that experiences don't always have to be expensive. They can just be fun. One of the biggest things of our 20s, and probably just life in general, is that we're gonna make mistakes.
Everything in my life is a hot mess right now.
We're still learning, and when you're in your early 20s, your brain's not even done freaking forming yet, okay? Like, there are things that are still gonna shape who you are as a person. You're gonna probably screw something up at some point, because you're human and we all make mistakes. Whatever that mistake is. It's okay to regret it and be like, wow, yeah, I screwed up. But don't let that mistake define But don't let that mistake define the rest of your life, no matter how big it is. You still need to take responsibility for it, and responsibility for the fact that you may have hurt someone else with your actions, depending on what those are. But that doesn't mean you can't try to change your life for the better after that. Don't spend your entire life beating yourself up for one thing you did wrong. Acknowledge it, learn from it, and grow from it. Because like I said before, if you're looking back on your past and you're like, well, that was stupid, I'm embarrassed of what I did, that means you grew as a person, and that's awesome. So yeah, grow. Now, I know a big one for a lot of us in our 20s is that we were broke as a joke for like a freaking eternity. I'm 34 and I'm barely just now getting into even some semblance of financial stability. And I'm pretending that I don't have $1 billion in like student loans right now.
And you traumatized the doctor.
But when you're in your early 20s, chances are you're probably not really like in that ballin' stage of life yet, or even in the financially stable stage of life yet. It's kind of like the struggle bus stage, and that's okay. I just want to let you guys know that while hustle culture is a really big deal, especially in America. We're very fast paced. It's all about like, oh, whatever, I'm not taking my vacation hours if I even get vacation. I worked like 80 hours this week. It is great to work hard and make money and try to save money. And I understand that for a lot of us, we're really just working our butts off just to try to stay afloat because that's the reality in the US. But I want to encourage you guys to find ways to enjoy life and don't feel like you have to just wait until you're like perfectly financially stable to do so. That might mean putting away like $1 a month for a few years to get to take a vacation, but truthfully, it doesn't have to be things that are crazy monetary things. Find experiences you can cherish. Go goof off with your friends and have a movie night at their house. Spend some time laughing. Find free activities in your city. I can promise you there are definitely some of them, especially in parks. And one huge thing is that you should take some time to like rediscover nature. One of the things that me and my husband did while we were both in school was we spent $70 when the 1 month where we actually had like a little bit extra. We spent $70 and we got a state park pass for the year. And honestly, it has been life-changing and it's been great for our relationship because we finally got to spend quality time doing something other than like stress eating. And you really get to go out in nature and be like, holy crap, this is freaking beautiful. It gives you an extra reason to appreciate life, especially when you feel like you're drowning in finances. Even if it means going for a walk in like a fun neighborhood or going for a walk around a park, take some time to go outside and enjoy nature. And for those of you in Texas, I understand it's disgusting outside right now. That part can wait till fall if need be. Number 10 is one that I'm still struggling with, and it is that your job is not your identity. I literally started off in my adult life as a baker, and it is something that I cannot even begin to tell you guys how much joy it brings me. Like being in front of like a giant deck oven and just like hefting, ow, my elbow, and like hefting bread out on the peel and rearranging it and just making it beautiful. It is such an art form. It is my passion 100%. But truthfully, there's other things like when we introduce ourselves. It shouldn't just be like, hi, I'm Heather, I'm a baker. Because there's more to me than just baking or being a physical therapist, which is what I am now. I still love baking with all of my heart. Like truthfully, that oven was like my happy place. But I feel like in my early 20s, I sacrificed a lot because I felt like I was a baker and that was my life. But I didn't have enough time to really see family or friends because all I did with that particular job was work like every night and every weekend. And I feel like I missed out on a lot because even though I was doing what I loved and it brought me so much joy, all the other areas of my life were lacking. Just know that whatever you do for work is not your identity. You've got to have a personality outside of work, and it's really important. Those are 10 of my favorite things that I have learned in my, infinite wisdom of my 34 years. If you guys enjoyed this video, that's a good thing because part 2 is gonna come out next week, just so this is not crazy long. But if you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up down below and subscribe if you haven't yet. We're learning all kinds of stuff on this channel, whether it be weight loss, mental health, or otherwise, and I'm sharing it all with you. But next week, I'll share the other 10 things. And yes, still in this outfit because your girl is long-winded and I don't want to have to put on makeup twice. Bye-bye.